Good morning and good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of Before Coffee. It is the Friday news dump. That's right. We're going to dump all the news we can find for this week so you can go on to your weekend carefree, blissfully unaware of any of the doomsday stock market crashes, all that stuff. Don't worry about it. Okay, we'll tell you on Monday. You can have a good, nice weekend so you know everything that's going on from today's show. This is Before Coffee, the father and daughter comprehensive news of Planet Earth podcast, where we look up our stories 10 to 15 minutes before we started, and we haven't had any caffeine. We rolled out of bed, we're fresh off the road, and let's get into our headlines. Today on Before Coffee, UK visa applications plummet following strict immigration rule changes, and Germany's incoming government agrees to get tougher on illegal migration.
Alright, this is Roger from the United States. The International Fund has reached a $20 billion bailout deal with Argentina.
Former Russian minister convicted in UK for violating British sanctions, and EU is transferring new $1 billion tranche for Ukraine covered by the frozen Russian assets.
And an Australian woman unknowingly gives birth to a stranger's baby. Survive there. And we'll go to France, where Macron announces potential recognition of Palestinian state by June.
In our culture news, looking good and green, a short history of the U.S. Masters green jacket.
National Donate Life Blue and Green Day. Fittingly, we're talking about green jackets on April 11th, 2025 on Before Coffee.
Hope you're ready for a lot of variety of stories. Yeah, we're definitely covering a lot of variety of stories.
Yeah.
Let's go to our segue wheel.
The wheel.
Spinning the wheel.
It's not the squeal of fortune. It's the sag of fortune.
Alright, you're gonna have to ask me for advice on one of the things that we're talking about on this story. Okay. Or the first two stories are kind of about the same thing, immigration, one of my favorite topics. This first one is coming out of Germany on Reuters. Germany's chancellor in waiting and leader of the Christian Democrat Party, Union Party, CDU, Friedrich Merz, Christian Social Union, SU leader, and Bavarian Premier Markus Söder, co-leaders and others are meeting up to change some rules in their government. Germany's future government of conservatives and center-left Social Democrats on Wednesday, which was Wednesday. What day was Wednesday? The 9th of April, agreed on measure and aimed at curbing illegal migration, including rejecting asylum seekers at borders, enabling deportations to Syria, and suspending family reunions. How dare you want to see each other? That's not allowed. The party wants to suspend family reunification for people with a so-called subsidiary protection status for 2 years, and to end all federal admission programs for refugees and not establish new programs in the future, according to the coalition agreement document. We are just gonna close all our borders to anybody who needs help. Asylum seekers will be rejected at land borders in coordination with European neighbors, the document said, as migration was a key issue in the national election following the rise of the far right and several high-profile attacks by migrants, which were also far right, by the way. They were like, I'll be a martyr for the cause. I'll show how bad migrants will be by being a migrant myself and doing something bad. That's, as far as I'm concerned, that's what those attacks were. The future government wants to deport people to Syria and Afghanistan, starting with criminals and potentially dangerous persons, which means anything at all, potentially dangerous. Not anyone who's done a crime, just they seem dangerous, send them away. And will abolish the terrible naturalization of migrants after 3 years of stay, but will maintain the citizenship reforms introduced by previous governments. However, that doesn't, this is just land borders, right? I think if you fly in as a migrant, you're fine. But if you're walking all the way to Germany and saying, please let me in, I ran away from home. They're trying to kill me. They'll say, sorry, nope, not accepting anyone, which is going against a human right, a EU human right, the right for asylum. So you can see how, if at all, the EU will reply to that kind of change. They haven't passed any laws yet. This is just their mandate, right? This is what they wrote down they're going to focus on, but they haven't actually signed it into law yet. In the UK, visa applications have actually plummeted following immigration rules that they've changed. This is from Anahita Hosanpour in The Independent. Applications for key UK visa routes have plummeted more than a third in a year, according to new Home Office data. The figures reveal a significant drop in applications across major visa categories, including work, study, and family visas, likely reflecting the impact of stricter immigration rules introduced in early 2024. In the year to March 2025, applications covering 772,000 individuals were submitted, a stark 36% decrease from the nearly 1.24 million applications received in the preceding 12 months. The most dramatic decline was seen in the applications from foreign health and care workers and their families. These applications plummeted by 78%, from 359,000 in 2023 to just 80,000 in 2024. This decrease can be attributed to a ban on overseas care workers introduced by previous government. So it's not even Starmer's government that can take credit for this one, but Sunak's. The data also highlights a significant impact on student dependence. Applications by family members of sponsored study visa holders fell by a staggering 83%, and applications for the main student applicants themselves saw more than a modest decrease of 11%. You know what? I don't want to go to school in the UK. I changed my mind. The stricter rules, including the ban on students bringing family dependents and a substantial increase in salary thresholds for skilled workers to £38,000, appear to be primary drivers behind these significant shifts in visa application numbers. Yeah, I think we talked about when they changed that back in last year, when we're increasing how much money you have to make to live here. £38,000. The previous government introduced a change in January 2024 that stopped students from bringing family members apart from those studying postgraduate research courses and those with government-funded scholarships. So if you're a pre-grad, you're going in for a bachelor's degree, you can't bring your whole family over. It's just you by yourself. Researcher at the Migration Observatory at the University of Oxford, Dr. Ben Brindle, said, the tightening of immigration rules under the previous government has led to a sharp decline in visa applications over the past year. This was driven primarily by a fall in applications from health and care workers and student family members, most of whom now cannot come to the UK. Main applicants from health and care workers also fell, possibly reflecting fewer vacancies and government focus on exploitation in the sector. Well, they also did pass that. We talked about this last month. They kicked all of those administrative workers out, right? The people who are deciding whether you can get your insurance covered or what care you're getting. They got rid of a lot of those people. So but they're also getting health and care workers or anything, right? It's not just nurses and doctors, but it's also the admin people. But Dr. Brindle said the application for migrants recruited for jobs outside health and care has fallen less than expected, and that with the increase in salary thresholds, it appears that many employers are still simply paying workers more. But the decrease, he said, could also be likely driven by employers adjusting to the higher salary threshold by filling job roles through other means or by leaving them unfulfilled altogether. The number of main applicants for skilled worker visa dropped by 16% year on year, while applications for the dependents decreased by 13%. Dr. Brindle added, it's important to remember, however, that the fall in applications was possible because the number of people coming to the UK since Brexit has been so high. Despite these declines, applications from non-EU citizens remains well above the pre-Brexit levels, as mid-2024 overall net migration was also still much higher than it had been pre-Brexit. So there's still a lot of people from not the EU transferring over, whereas the people who probably wanted to stay in the UK because they've been living there for 10 years and then Brexit happened, are either already there or they gave up. They're like, you know what? I guess I just can't return back to the UK after Brexit, so we're just going to, I'll find a job here in Norway or something. Key visa routes to the UK are the categories of skilled worker, health and care worker, sponsored study, family, seasonal worker, and youth mobility scheme. Of course, family is, you have to actually have family members probably living in the UK for 5 years or something before you can join. So that has decreased. Probably also due to this requirement of money, I guess, maybe. But there's your news on immigration in the EU and in the UK. Onto your story.
Okay, I got nothing.
Yeah, I saw you were sleeping.
No, I just like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do for my spin of the wheel. Ask you for advice. I'm not sure what that means.
Okay.
I've never done that. What am I supposed to do?
I don't know.
I don't understand this spin.
We can just move on. I don't really want to discuss it. I just want to get on with the show because your internet's really bad.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't have any advice, Dan. I don't know what that part of the wheel is supposed to be.
All right, I'll write a haiku.
Write a haiku. Okay, so. We take that off the wheel along with personal story because we seem to never have anything for that. Okay, so hello? I don't know if I'm connecting or not, so you have to answer me when I say hello.
Yeah, you're there, but it's patchy. So
okay, it's patchy.
yeah, like you're frozen right now, but I can still hear you.
My phone's fully charged. So you can't hear me at all?
I can hear you.
All right, so we're going to do the story. The IMF reaching a $20 billion bailout deal with troubled Argentina. We'll try to rip through this quickly since we have technical difficulties today. NBCnews.com. This is actually by the Associated Press. The International Monetary Fund on Tuesday said a preliminary agreement with Argentina over a $20 billion bailout, providing a welcome to President Javier Milei as he seeks to overturn the country's oldest. As a staff-level agreement, the rescue package still requires IMF's executive board. The board will convene in the coming days, the IMF statement said. Not offered a lifeline to President Milei, who has stabilized Argentina's troubled economy with a free market austerity agenda. You say so. Policies have reversed the reckless borrowing of left-wing policies that have brought Argentina infamy for defrauding on its debts. The country has received more IMF bailouts than any other. It came at a critical moment for South America. Pressure had been mounting on Argentina's rapidly depleting foreign exchange reserves as the government tightened rules, money printing, and burned through its scarce dollars to prop up the wobbly Argentine peso. Fears grew that if the government failed to secure an IMF-led, hard-won austerity measures would Argentina once again unable to service its huge debts or pay its import bills. The fresh cash gives Milei a serious shot at easing Argentina's strict foreign exchange controls, which could help convince markets of its program's sustainability. For the past 6 years, the capital's restrictions have dissuaded investment, preventing companies from sending profits abroad and ensuring the central bank's careful management of the peso, which is pegged to the dollar. Backing up 22 IMF loans since 1958, Argentina has more than $40 billion. Most of the IMF funds have been used to repay itself, giving the organization a fraught reputation among Argentines. Many blame the lender for the country's historic economic implosion and debt default in 2001. The IMF was wary of striking yet another deal with its largest debtor, but over the past 16 months, fund officials have praised Milei's austerity, a diet harsher than even the fund's prescription. Former TV personality and self-proclaimed anarcho-capitalist came to power on a vow to shrink Argentina's bloated bureaucracy, kill spiraling inflation, open the economy to international markets, and woo foreign investors after years of isolation. Unlike Argentine politicians in years past who sought to avoid enraging the masses austerity, May has taken his chainsaw to the state, firing tens of thousands of state employees, dissolving or downgrading a dozen ministries, gutting the education sector, cutting inflation, adjustments for pensions, freezing public work projects, lifting prices, and slashing subsidies. Critics note that poor have paid the highest price for. Problem is in Argentina is the rich people aren't making enough money. That's what the real problem is. Retirees have been protesting weekly against low pension payments, accounting for the largest share of Milei's budget cuts. Let's budget on poor people because they have no power. That's the rallying cry of the oligarchs. Major labor unions announced a 36-hour general Wednesday in solidarity. Still, Milei has maintained a solid approval ratings, a success in driving down inflation, which dropped to 108 from 211% annually during the first year in office. There's nowhere to go but down. Let's give them credit for bringing it down from 200%. Oh, okay. It's only 100% inflation. We're awesome. Looking budget deficits, surplus, the global stock market booming, and this country risk rating a pivotal barometer of its ceiling. The agreement builds on the authorities' impressive ability of progress in stabilizing the economy, underpinned by a strong fiscal anchor that is delivering rapid disinflation. Disinflation is the word. The IMF said in announcing the agreement under a 48-month arrangement. The program supports the next phase of Argentina's homegrown stabilization and reform agenda. It remained unclear how much money Argentina would receive up front, a key sticking point in the most recent negotiation over the deal's details. Argentina is seeking a hefty payment up front to replenish its reserves, even as IMF loans are usually dispersed over several years. Milei shared his IMF statement on social media, attaching a photo that showed him hugging Economy Minister Luis Caputo. Vamos, he wrote, apparently misspelling vamos, or let's go, in his excitement. And I can't spell some words. There's your story on Argentina. Hopefully I didn't drop out the whole time I was on there. I got a feeling I did. So, well,
you didn't drop out. It's just that your words get interrupted, so it's hard to understand. Some words, not all the words, just some of the words. All right, for my haiku, we have. Let's see. As people come together to celebrate the dawn of economic revival. Yeah, 100% inflation. Woohoo! We got it down.
Yeah.
There you go.
We got it down to 118%.
You know what? Better than 200.
Inflation's 3%. What's that?
All right. You gotta. I hope this next story reminds you of a song.
Replace the president. What's it now? Reminds me of a song?
Yeah.
Okay, that I can do.
Got two stories here, anyways. The first story. Okay. Former Russian minister convicted in the UK for violating British sanctions. That's right, we got him. We got one guy who was not getting sanctioned. This is brought by Brian Maylay on AP News. A former Russian government minister became the first person on the 9th of April to be convicted in the UK of circumventing sanctions put in place after the illegal annexation of Crimea. Wow. They've been doing it since 2014, not even Ukraine, but Crimea. Wow. Dmitry Ovsyannikov, who was appointed governor of Sevastopol in Crimea by Russian President Vladimir Putin in 2016, used a British bank account to illegally receive tens of thousands of pounds from his wife and accepted gifts and payments from his brothers, prosecutors said. Ovsyannikov, who has also served as Deputy Minister for Industry and Trade, was an important political figure placed under European Union sanctions in 2017 for work that threatened the territorial integrity, sovereignty, and independence of Ukraine, prosecutors said. The sanctions were adopted in the UK in 2019 as it left the EU. He knew he had been on the UK sanctions list since 2017, but chose to ignore this, said Julius Capon of the Crown Prosecution Service, Another member of his family sought deliberately to breach the sanctions to live their own lavish lifestyle and showed complete disregard for the law. Ovsyannikov, 48, was convicted in Southwark Crown Court of 6 out of 7 counts of circumventing sanctions between February 2023 and January 2024. The jury couldn't reach a verdict on the final count. He was also convicted of possessing and using criminal property because it wasn't his, it was under sanctions. His brother Alexei Ovsyannikov, 47, was convicted on the 9th as well of 2 counts of circumventing sanctions for paying school tuition with his brother's for his brother's children, He was found not guilty of 3 additional counts of breaching sanctions for buying his brother a Mercedes-Benz worth £54,500 or $70,000 and giving him access to a bank account. Ekaterina Ovsyannikova, 47, was cleared of 4 counts of circumventing sanctions for allegedly funneling £76,000 or $97,000 to her husband through probably another British bank account. Lawyers had argued the brother and wife didn't know Ovsyannikov faced sanctions or were unaware he couldn't receive financial assistance. What, because they don't talk to each other? Huh? Whatever, dude. Oh, I didn't read his mail. I'm his wife, but I don't know anything about his finances. Okay, sure. All 3 are Russian nationals, though. Ovsyannikov and his brother have British passports because their father was born in England. But he's still on the sanction list, even if he's half British. The CPS said the case was first prosecuted for breaching sanctions, but put in place by the UK in 2019. Mr. Ovsyannikov thought he could hide from all sanctions, Foreign Office Minister Stefan Dowdy said in a statement. We are resolutely committed to increasing the pressure on Putin, his cronies, and all those who aid his barbaric war in Ukraine. I like how he said that, his cronies. Ovsyannikov and his brother will be sentenced at a later date. Who knows what they're going to do? Maybe probably pay a fine because they're rich enough, right? Just make them pay a fine. Take more money from them. Speaking of frozen Russian assets, though, we've got Martin Fornusek having a story on Kyiv Independent about the EU allocating another financial assistance tranche of €1 billion or $1.1 billion as part of the G7 loan program for Ukraine, Prime Minister Denis Shmyhal announced on April 9th. A lot of news from April 9th that we're getting today on Friday. We are grateful to our partners for supporting the economy and the rapid recovery of our country, Shmyhal said after meeting EU Economy Commissioner Valdis Dombrovskis in Brussels. Western nations froze around $300 billion in Russian assets after Moscow launched its full-scale invasion in Ukraine in February 2022, with roughly 2/3 held in Europe. Kyiv had been urging its foreign partners to confiscate the assets and funnel them towards Ukraine's defense and reconstruction efforts, but Western leaders had been hesitant to take that step, fearing legal, political, and economic pitfalls. Well, now we're in an economic pitfall, so you don't have to worry about it. You've already fallen in the hole. Instead, the G7 members agreed to provide Kyiv with a $50 billion Extraordinary Revenue Acceleration ERA loan, which will be repaid with proceeds from those frozen assets. The EU is providing around €18.1 billion or $20 billion as part of the loan, with another $20 billion shouldered by the US and the rest by the UK, Canada, and Japan. Well, thanks, Japan. We are delivering on our promise to support Ukraine, Dombrovskis said. This aid provides crucial financing to Ukraine and makes Russia pay for its aggression. So there's your story on more money for Ukraine as they're trying to win this war against Russia's aggression. My 2 stories there.
About war.
About money. About people not having their money.
Well, it still reminded me of the song War. What is it good for? Absolutely nothing.
Making people rich, supposedly. That's what it's good for.
War.
Selling.
What is it good for?
Absolutely nothing. Say it again. Okay.
Say it again. Edwin Starr. Yeah.
Let's roll the segue wheel for your story.
Right. We're gonna shorten these stories up. They say 4 to 5 minutes. We're gonna.
All right, another haiku for me.
Haiku. We love haikus. All right, 2 stories. Maybe haiku each. I don't know. First one is from AP News. Charlotte Graham McClay. Australian woman unknowingly gives birth to stranger's baby. Huh?
Yeah.
At IVF clinic.
Yep.
This is from New Zealand. Well, the story's from Australia. The byline says Wellington, New Zealand. Okay. So
sadly, this is very common, and it's kind of, it should be illegal. You should be fined or something for it. How can you fuck that up?
Well, I know what you do. Take a do-over. A woman in Australia unknowingly gave birth to a stranger's baby after she received another patient's embryo from her in vitro fertilization clinic due to human error, the clinic said. The mix-up was discovered in February when the clinic in the city of Brisbane found that the birth parents had one too many embryos in storage, said the provider, Monash IVF, in a statement supplied Friday. The staff discovered an embryo for another patient had been mistakenly thawed and transferred to the birth mother, a spokesperson said. Australian news outlets reported the baby was born in 2024. Monash IVF didn't confirm how old the child was. The company, one of Australia's biggest IVF providers, said an initial investigation had not uncovered any other such errors. In a statement, didn't identify the patients involved or divulge details about the child's custody. All of us at Monash IVF are devastated, and we apologize to everyone involved. Whoops, said CEO Michael Knapp. We will continue to support the patients through this extremely distressing time. Well, I would hope so. The human error was made despite strict laboratory safety protocols being in place, the statement said. The company said it had reported the episode to the relevant regulator in the state of Queensland. Monash IVF opened in 1971 and sees patients in dozens of locations throughout Australia. Last year, the firm settled a class action lawsuit from more than 700 patients, making no admissions of liability after claims its clinics destroyed potentially viable embryos.
Aw, man.
They got some problems.
What a frickin' clown show. That shit's expensive, too.
Yeah, the clinic paid a settlement of 56 million Australian dollars or 35 million American. Rare cases of embryo mix-up have been reported before, including in the United States, Britain, Israel, and Europe. A woman in the United States, state of Georgia, in February filed a lawsuit against a fertility clinic after she gave birth to a stranger's baby. Christina Murray realized the error after the baby's birth because she and her sperm donor were both white and the child was black. Hell of a deal. Yeah, it's a dead
Yep, sorry, I don't have a
Murray
secret black grandma. This is literally just a fuck up. Like,
yeah, it's like, what? Murray said she wanted to raise the baby, but voluntarily gave the 5-month-old to his biological parents if she was told she would not win a legal fight for his custody.
yeah, it's gonna be
Well, she tried.
Yeah, it's gonna be a huge problem when it's like,
outright.
yeah, sadly.
In Australia, each state makes its own laws and rules governing the use of IVF, which advocates say it puts patients at risk of error for oversight failing. Queensland's Parliament passed its first laws regulating the sector in 2024. The measures will establish a registry for all people conceived at a clinic and made the destruction of donors' medical histories illegal. The change followed an official report that lambasted the storage of frozen sperm donations in Queensland, finding nearly half of the samples checked were at a medium or high risk of misidentification and recommending thousands be destroyed. Yeah, that's a screw up. You created a person by accident. Way to go.
Yeah, and it's not related to you whatsoever. And the whole point of IVF is that you make a baby with your genes, right? Otherwise, they would just adopt a kid, They would just adopt a baby or something.
Yeah. Right. Let's carry this baby around that isn't even mine for 9. All right. Do you want the next story or you got a haiku?
Yes, I do have a haiku. Invisible threads binding mother and child's fate, tangled beyond fix. Literally, I can't fix the genes, man. I gave birth, but it's not mine.
We just gotta name this kid Whoops.
Yeah.
Hey, Whoops, come here. Hey, Whoops. How you doing today, Whoops? Another story. This is from lemonade.fr. Arthur Philippe Ricard. Macron announces potential recognition of Palestinian state in June. This is a French paper. The French Reporter or something like that. In an interview on French television on Wednesday, the French president expressed his desire to participate in collective dynamic, also leading to recognition of Israel by all those who defend Palestine. That's also he said. After much hesitation, Emmanuel Macron could recognize a Palestinian state in June. We must move towards a recognition of a Palestinian state, and so in coming months we will, announced the French president. In an interview broadcast on the television channel France 5 on Wednesday, April 9th. Well, he just did it now. You don't have to wait till June. The recording was made the day before at the end of a 2-day visit to Egypt, where Macron, when asked about the subject, had evaded the question. He explained that the priority was to lift the humanitarian blockade imposed since March 2nd by Israel and to work toward a new ceasefire currently under discussion between Israel and Hamas through the mediation of the United States. Well, good luck with the mediation of the United States because they're just taking one side. Anyway, through the mediation of the United States, Egypt, and Qatar, or Qatar, as some people call it, since the end of the truce on March 18th, 1,400 Palestinians have been killed by Israeli strikes, according to the Enclave's Ministry of Health. Until this point, Paris insisted that such recognition must be useful and had played for time. Macron is now seeking to keep alive the possibility of a two-state solution, Israel and Palestine. But this symbolic gesture is only one of the parameters of peace process that the resumption of bombings on March 18th at the Gaza Strip by Israel makes more complicated. 18 months after the Hamas terrorist attacks on October 7th, 2023. The issue is also one of the items under discussion ahead of the conference of the subject held in June at the United Nations in New York, which Macron will chair alongside of Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, and who is a butcher, by the way, and his nickname is MBS. We gotta point that out. Anyway, there's your story on Macron deciding. It's quick and to the point. Already decided we're gonna recognize Palestine as a state, but we're not gonna announce it until June.
No.
It's like saying, I'm gonna ask you to marry me, but I'm not gonna ask you till June.
Get ready for in June. In Paris city streets, voices rise a united cry for Palestinian right. There's your haiku for that story as well. In June, in parentheses, P.S. in June.
In June. Right.
All right. Give me a good old... Remind me of a song from you as well. See, it's starting to repeat everything again.
Oh, another song. Yeah.
Let's do our culture segment, which is about... I don't know if there's any songs about golfing or green jackets, but that's what we're talking about. The history of the Masters green jacket, which I don't know, so this will be informative for me as well. This is on Euronews Culture. More iconic than some sporting competitions are the ways that they signify their winners. Whether that's a cap for footballers playing for their country, the yellow jersey for the leader and overall winner of the cycling Tour de France, or the green jacket of the U.S. Masters champion. As the world's best golfers tee off in the prestigious competition, let's take a deep dive into the history of the green jacket. The Masters green jacket tradition was officially started in 1949, before anybody here watching was born. If you are born before 1949, please let us know. But the history of the garment can be traced back to 1930. At the 1930 Open Championship in the Royal Liverpool Golf Club, so not the US, celebrated amateur American golfer Bobby Jones won the second of his 4 pre-Masters Grand Slam victories that year. While his success was the beginning of a moment that cemented Jones as one of the greatest amateur golfers in history, it was also notable for him winning a red jacket from the English's club captain Kenneth Stoker. Jones had taken a liking to the club's matching red jackets and had agreed with Stoker that if he won, he'd get Stoker's own version. Taking the red jacket home, he instated the tradition of matching jackets as part of the branding behind his own golf club, the Augusta National. So he stole it from the British. Another thing Americans Stole from the British, I'm sure. Instead of the red, the Augusta National settled on a verdant green jacket to match the color of the fresh lawns of the club. The Augusta National became the home place of the U.S. Grandmasters Slams from 1934. From 1949, it was decided that all winners of the U.S. Masters at Jones's Club would receive their own green jacket, with all previous winners retroactively receiving their own version. Man, the creators of those jackets made a lot of cash, huh? I need at least 15 more green jackets. Hell, it's expensive. Since then, players including Tiger Woods, Arnold Palmer, Ben Hogan have all won their own green jacket. Green jacket winners are allowed to keep their prize for a year before it must be returned to the Augusta National Club, where it is kept in a specifically designated storeroom for them. Only reigning champions are allowed to remove their jacket from the clubhouse. The current reigning champion is American golfer Scottie Scheffler, who won his second U.S. Masters in 2024 and after his first victory in 2022. Tiger Woods is the golfer who's won the most Masters, with 5 victories. Not all players have been so accepting of the strict rules around using their jacket. Britain's Nick Faldo wore his green jacket for many press appearances, having won in 1989, 1990, and 1996. Similarly, Steve Ballesteros of Spain reportedly didn't return the jacket between his 2 wins in 1980 and 1993. 2 Europeans. I wonder where that is. The rule was first placed after Gary Player was frustrated with his jacket being kept in America while he wanted to wear it in his native South Africa following his win in 1961. A green jacket has ended up on the free market before as well. In 1994, an authentic winning jacket was brought by a journalist for $5, $9.70 adjusted for inflation, and it was sold in 2017 by Green Jacket Auctions for $139,000. Wow, that's a freaking spike up. What the fuck? Who sold his jacket for $5?
Wow.
That's in 1994. Who was it? Don't they put their names on it or something? That's insane. What? Anyways, that's money laundering. I don't care what anyone says.
$5 doesn't seem like a lot.
$5 to $139,000. The same auction house sold Horton Smith's 1949 winning green jacket for $682,000. And in 2013, Jones' own jacket for $310,000 in 2011. That's insane. Anyways, golf fans are all, I'm sure a lot of them are rich, so. This year, Scheffler will likely fight off fierce competition from Northern Ireland's Rory McIlroy for the green jacket at the 89th edition of the competition. Wow, they haven't even gotten to 100 yet. But they'll keep trying. So there you go. If you care about golf and you want to see a tight competition this weekend, check it out and see who gets that green jacket for the American Masters.
Yep. I always consider Masters the start of spring. That's what I always like the Masters golf tournament. Spring is in the air.
Yep. Does feel like it.
It's a very colorful, scenic golf tournament. Yep. And it reminds me of a song. It's not easy being green.
Especially if you can sell it for $300,000.
Why would you sell it, man? You work your entire career. Get one of
but
those.
Somebody was selling it.
Need money that bad.
Yeah. I mean, it would have been nice if they said, Horton Smith's winning green jacket, that money proceeds went to, Kids for Cancer or whatever. Kids for Cancer.
Yeah.
But it didn't say. It just said the auction house made $682,000 off a jacket, and that's all they said.
Wow.
So.
Well, the auction house made money. We'll go to the auction house for doing absolutely nothing. All right.
Let's go ahead and roll my last segue, the last segue of the show, with a lovely limerick.
All right, a limerick about this day in history.
Let me open my This Day History so I can know already what is in there, so I can write it down.
April 11th, in the year 1815, the eruption of Mount Tambora, a volcano on the south island of Sumbawa, in what is now Indonesia, killed about 10,000 people. And of course, gave us a really terrible climate for the next couple of years.
Oh, wow.
1815, 1816 had no summer. There was no summer.
Oh, yeah, the year without summer.
Yeah. 1815, 1816 both didn't have really good summers. 1848, Emperor Ferdinand the first of Austria confirmed the March laws, which formed the foundation of the modern state of Hungary, in case you're wondering. In 1893, in this day, Dean Acheson was born. He was U.S. Secretary of State from 1949 to 53, advisor of 4 presidents, and principal creator of the U.S. foreign policy in the Cold War period. Well, good for you. 1895 is the birthday. Well, let's see, 1895, Cuban patriot Jose Julian Marti invaded Cuba at the head of an invading force whose goal was to win independence from Spain. 1951, U.S. President Harry S. Truman relieved General Douglas MacArthur of his command of the United Nations and U.S. forces during the Korean War. That happened in 1951. In 1953, mathematician Andrew John Wiles was born in Cambridgeshire, England. He was devisor of the proof of Fermat's last theorem. So, famous mathematician born in this day. 1961, the trial of Nazi leader Adolf Eichmann began in Jerusalem. 8 months later, it ended with the only death sentence ever imposed by an Israeli court.
Yeah, otherwise they just kill people without sentences, you know?
Yeah, they just bomb schools and say,
yeah.
Oh, they were Harvard, the terrorists were using them as human shields. Oh, yeah, okay. 1970, Apollo 13 was launched from Cape Kennedy, which is now Cape Canaveral, Florida. Although the schedule was to be third lunar landing, the mission was aborted after an oxygen tank exploded en route to the moon. So Apollo 13's aborted mission began on this day in 1970. 1979, Ugandan President Idi Amin, whose brutality earned him the nickname the Butcher of Uganda, fled the country as Tanzanian-led forces near Kampala. Get out of there, Idi Amin, you pile of shit. 2007, American author Kurt Vonnegut died at the age of 84. He was known for such wryly satirical novels as Slaughterhouse-Five. Rest in peace, Kurt Vonnegut. 2013, Maria Talchief, whose exquisite technique made her one of the greatest ballerinas in the United States, died at the age of 88. Our featured event. This day, in April 11th, 1814, Napoleon abdicated the first time. On this day in 1814, during the Napoleonic Wars, Napoleon was facing an invasion of France by forces bent on his overthrow and, pressed by his own officers, abdicated unconditionally at Fontainebleau. But he came back. The cat came back. Our featured biography, Charles Evans Hughes, United States jurist and statesman, born on April 11th, 1861 in Glen Falls, New York. Happy birthday to him. He died August 27th of 1948 in Osterville, Massachusetts at the age of 86. So, wow. You're born in 62, you die in 48, you get to be 86. So, that works.
Pretty old. Pretty long life.
Yeah. I'm keeping it in mind because I was born in 62. 1962, not 1862. But other birthdays today, 1869, Kasturba Gandhi, Indian political activist. Dean Acheson. Anthony LaVey, American author, born in 1930. Andrew Wiles, we did again. Well, we're doing them all twice. Brady's mathematician, born in 1953. We did that. National Day calendar. It's National Submarine Day. We all live in the yellow submarine. That should be the song it reminds you of. National Day of Silence today. National Cheese Fondue Day.
Yeah, the National Day of Silence is for victims of homophobic bullying. So, you know, oh, you're gay, I'm going to beat you up in the alley. Those people. So it's a day of silence for those guys.
Mm-hmm. National Cheese Fondue. National Donate Life Blue and Green Day. And National Living Donor Day. So I think those have to do with the same thing, I would hope. living donor, that means you gave up part of your body for somebody else, like your kidney, which is crazy when you think about it.
Yeah. One is the donate life blue and green is for the 124,000 people in the United States who are awaiting some sort of organ transplant.
Right. That's it. That's your days. That's everything. That's our spins of the wheel, our bad technical glitches, our mispronunciations, our horse crap, our opinions for April 11th, 2025 on Before Cheese Fondue.
All right, for my limerick.
Yep.
We must honor their memory and plight, break the chains of fear, shine a guiding light, embracing love and respect for each person's correct sexual orientation, a right to unite. So that's for the day of silence. Everyone, just let people do whatever the hell they want. I don't know why we put our nose in anyone's business. Stop bullying people in general, honestly. So it's not an international day today, but there will be an International UN Day tomorrow. International Day of Human Space Flight, which we were just talking about the Apollo 13 failing to reach the moon. The General Assembly passed on the 7th of April 2011 and declared the 12th of April as the International Day of Human Space Flight to celebrate each year at the international level to the beginning of the space era for mankind, reaffirming the importance of contribution of space science and technology in achieving sustainable development goals and increasing the well-being of states and people, as well as ensuring the realization of their aspiration to maintain an outer space for peaceful purposes. Yes, let's not have war in outer space. That's what Star Wars is for, not for real life, okay? We're okay. Maybe we can have some sports in space, space football or something.
Yeah.
But let's not start shooting missiles in space, thank you. Peaceful space for all. But that has been today's show of Friday News Dump as we tie off another week. I hope you guys have a good weekend and make sure to take care of yourself. This has been Allie from the Netherlands, Roger from the East Coast of the U.S. We did it this whole week. We made it from West Coast to East Coast in 1 week. Look at us, champions. I mean, I didn't do anything. I just woke him up and then he went back to sleep and then got back on the road. We will see you next week for some more news. Take care of yourself. Wear sunscreen. Drink water. And don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube Allie and Roger YouTube channel. And turn on those notifications so you know when we go live or post a video. Let's go to our golf-based mic drop moment.
This is the ball of Tiger Woods. Lanny, what about this?
Bad spot to chip from.
Look at that green. That verdant green for the green jacket.
He's got to put this well. You can see him looking up the slope. He's almost got to put it up to where you saw Trevor Immelman's ball come from
to get it close. Tiger Woods.
Well, I am reminded of Davis.
Though I guess in my brain, he always looks like this. I don't know what old Tiger Woods looks like.
He's a little bit further up, I think, than Davis was.
Yes, he is.
Got the same basic kind of shot. He's going to have to get it close. He's going to have to put
Look
it
at
up
all
into
those
the
people.
slope, though, somewhat. And of course, it's made a lot tougher
Being
by having
as quiet as possible. That was always the coolest thing about golf.
It almost forces
everyone chat. Oh, they're getting ready to hit the ball. Shut up.
He cannot put it up
and they
in
get
the
very
air.
quiet.
Absolutely no cheating
with the second cut that
That's
close
the best
behind
part,
the ball.
actually, I think, is there's no cheating. You cannot cheat.
You can
There's
see him
no
putting
way
it
to
back in the
cheat.
stand
In
right
fact,
here and
people
picking
tell
the club
on
up like he's going to hit
themselves.
right down on it.
And,
Is he doing
he's
it?
picked out a landing spot.
No, he's not
that
doing it.
is
He's just still practicing.
25 feet above the hole.
We know it's going in.
Even the announcers start
He does this
whispering.
inside the marker of the ball.
You can hear us. We have to talk quietly.
He still looks like he's 12 years old in this.
We don't want to put Tiger off his game.
You can hear a pin drop.
Yeah.
There's
So
probably
quiet.
10,000 people there. Completely quiet.
There it comes.
Is it gliding in?
Oh,
Oh, look at everyone freaking screaming, dude. Oh.
Watch
Oh, it went in. Yeah. Isn't that like a meme too? Him doing the backwards thing? That's like a meme image thing back in the 2010s. Good job, you. You glided in.
You hear me? I said Nike couldn't pay for advertising.
That was probably the best thing that you had, like that Tiger Woods '98 Sega Saturn game, and that was probably the most realistic thing about the game. When you would hit the ball, the crowd would go whoa and start cheering. That was very realistic.
Be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and notify buttons, and follow our other channels, Toxic Alley, History of Gravy, and Scratchy Old Records.